Morning, welcome to biology video class. In previous class, in previous video, we have completed about bryophytes, where it is living, what is the general characteristics of bryophytes, what is the sexual organs of bryophytes, antheridium, archegonium. So like that we have seen that we have two phases in the reproduction. One is gametophyte and sporophyte, like that we have seen. Then it includes liverworts and mosses. About two things we have explained in the last video class, that is part 3. Now we are going to see about pteridophytes. Pteridophytes, it includes hostels and ferns. Hostels and ferns. In bryophytes, like mosses, and next one mosses and liverworts. In the liverworts and mosses, it is in the bryophytes, but here it includes hostels and ferns. So in pteridophytes, first, where it is living? The living part of pteridophytes is cool conditions and damp area and sandy area. So in the sandy area and damp area and cool conditions it can live, as well as in the sandy soil. Some of the pteridophytes which live in the sandy soil also, because in the damp area, if you take, it is what? It is like in Tamil we can call it as what? Kaliman அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவாங்க, இல்லைனா சேறு சகதியமா இருக்கிற. So in that area it is living, and in the shady area, in the shade, it can live easily, because in the cool conditions only it can live, but some pteridophytes it can live in sandy soil. Okay, what is the uses of pteridophytes? What is the uses of pteridophytes? Here, pteridophytes which are used for medicinal and soil binders. Mainly, it is used for medicinal value and medicinal purpose, and the next one, soil binders. The soil binders, I think in the forest area. In the forest area, which protect the soil erosion. So it prevents the soil erosion. So that's why it is called as soil binders. Then it is used as a ornamental also. If you take cypress, if you take ferns, cypress, it is come under the gymnosperms, right? Here, for the ornamental, some of the species which are used as a ornamental. So it is the uses of pteridophytes, medicinal value and soil binders, mainly for soil binders, and next one the ornamental things. The next, this is the first terrestrial tree, plants actually. It is the first terrestrial plants, because here before that algae mainly lives in where? In aquatic region. So first what? Water. Then after that bryophytes, it is called as amphibian. Why? Because for the reproduction it need water. It requires water to reproduce. So it is called as amphibians. But first terrestrial plant is pteridophytes. So pteridophyte is what? It is the terrestrial animal. Then apart from that, here we have vascular bundle. Vascular bundle, which means xylem and phloem. Basically, we have xylem and phloem in terrestrial trees. I think It is vascular bundle. It do different functions. Xylem, which conduct the water from the root to leaves. Okay, it is unidirectional, which one? The water transportation done by xylem. Xylem which do the water transportation. But phloem is doing the translocation. Translocation, that means what? Translocation. Translocation, which transport the food material. It is multi-directional. But here the water which goes in the unidirectional from the root to leaves, then as a water vapor it will go to where? In the atmosphere. But here in the phloem, what it has happened? Translocation is happened. Translocation, which means the transportation of food from the leaves to other parts and other parts to the leaves. So it is multi-directional. So the vascular bundle is present here. But here before the bryophytes and algae and all, we don't have vascular bundle. So this is first terrestrial plant. The next one, main plant body here, it is sporophyte. Main plant body is sporophyte. But when you take the bryophytes, the main plant body is gametophyte. From the gametophyte only sporophyte which is coming. In our book we have diagram, I think. So in last video also I do that. In the plant body, in the beginning itself gametophyte we have, then after that we have sporophyte. So here main plant body is sporophyte. That sporophyte which consists true root, stem, leaves. Because in the bryophytes and all, we don't have true root, stem, leaves. It is root-like, stem-like, leaves-like. It is thalloid. But here we have true root, stem, and leaves. Okay. The next one, the leaves. Leaves, that we have two types. One is microphylls or macrophylls. Whether the pteridophytes which consist microphylls or macrophylls. Microphylls mean small leaves. Macrophylls, which means largest one. It is macrophylls. Both of them leaves. So small leaves is called as microphylls. Big one is called as macrophylls. The sporophyte. When we talk about the sporophyte, it bears. அப்படினா என்ன இதுல என்ன இருக்கு, இது என்ன இருக்கு அப்படி பாத்தீங்கன்னா, it consists sporangia. It bears what? Sporangia. The sporangia which is sustained by leaf-like structure, it is called as sporophylls. So in the leaf-like structure it possesses. In that it is sustained. That means just below of the leaf-like structure it is present. Which one? The sporangia. It is called as sporophylls. Okay, but it is not leaf. Okay, sporangia which is sustained by leaf-like structure, that is called as sporophylls. Okay, so that sporangia sometimes which produce compact structure. Which produce what? Compact structure. Sometimes it produce spores. So actually sporangia will produce spores. Okay, but sometimes it produce one compact structure. Because sporangia which produce spores, that means spore it is small in size, but sometimes it produce compact structure. It is called as strobili. It is called as what? Strobili or cones. So cones produced in the pteridophytes. Example, Selaginella equistem. In the Selaginella and equistem species, the strobili or cones are produced. Okay, நம்ம வந்து cones னு சொல்லலாம், இல்ல strobili அப்படினு சொல்லலாம். So what we have seen that where it is present, and this is first terrestrial plant. Then leaves, we have small one and big one. Small one is known as microphylls and big one is known as macrophylls. Here the sporophyte part, because it is the main plant body, that sporophyte plant body which consists two root stem leaves. Because here we don't have gametophyte as a main plant body. This is the main plant body. But in the bryophytes, what I told, it is main plant body. Which one? Gametophyte. But here it is sporophyte. So sporophyte which bears what? The main which consists sporangia. Okay. Sporangia where is present in the sporophylls. It is leaf-like structure. So it is what? Sporophylls. Okay. Then cones also it is produced. In which plant? Selaginella and Equistem. Next one, the sporangia. Next one we will talk about what? Sporangia. So sporangia where is present in the sporophyte. Sporophyte is the main plant body in the pteridophytes. So sporangia which produce what? Spores. Okay, by the meiosis. By the meiosis which produce what? Spores. It is haploid in nature. Haploid, which means the half of the chromosomes only in the haploid cells. In the diploid cells, all the chromosomes are present. Okay. So by the meiosis, the spores are produced from the sporangia. Then, from the spores, what it is germinate? That means the multicellular prothallus is produced, germinate. So from the spore, prothallus germinated. It is photosynthetic multicellular gametophyte. It is what? Photosynthetic multicellular gametophyte, which means what? It can produce their own food. Which one? The prothallus. The prothallus which produce their own food. That's why it is called as photosynthetic multicellular gametophyte. But here the main plant body is sporophyte. But starting is with gametophyte. From the gametophyte only the sporophytes are produced. Okay. Gametophyte. When it is grow, when it is getting the cool condition and in the dampy area, shady area, which grow? Which one? The gametophyte. Okay. Then we have in the prothallus only gametophyte we have. Okay, the prothallus is photosynthetic multicellular gametophyte. Which one? The prothallus. From the prothallus, that means from the gametophyte, in the gametophyte we have male and female reproductive organ. So the gametophyte bears what? Male and female reproductive organ. The male reproductive organ is antheria. The female reproductive organ is archegonia. Then from the antheria, what it is produced? Anthrozoids. Anthrozoids, it is male gamete. It is what? Male gamete. The archegonia which produce egg, it is female gamete. It is what? Female gamete. So by the water, the anthrozoids which getting into the archegonia. So in the archegonia only egg is present. So it is fused with the egg and produce zygote in the archegonia reproductive part. Then which produce multicellular sporophyte. It is dominant phase. So what we said before, The main plant body, sporophyte. That sporophyte, how it came? From the prothallus. Because the prothallus which consists the gametophyte. In the gametophyte we have two reproductive organs, male and female, antheridia and archegonium. From the antheridia, the anthrozoids which secreted, which produced, then it transported by the water, then it fused with the air. Okay. Then after fusing, the fusing of male and female gamete is known as fertilization. So fertilization takes place in the female reproductive organ, that is archegonia. Then zygote will be formed. From the zygote, embryo will be produced. The embryo, which grows as a multicellular sporophyte, it is dominant phase. It is what? Dominant phase. Up to this, do you understand? First, you should be right where it is living. Then, what is the uses of pteridophytes? Then, whether it is living in terrestrial or aquatic. It lives in terrestrial. Then, vascular system are present. That means xylem and phloem are present. The main plant body is what? That means sporophyte. In the sporophyte only, remaining things are happening. So, I think leaves, it is small one, microphylls, it is called as microphylls. Biggest one is macrophylls. Okay. Then the sporophyte which bears the sporangia, it is sporophylls because that consists of spore. Then what happened? The spores which is germinate as a prothallus. The prothallus which consists of what? Photosynthetic multicellular gametophyte. That gametophyte which consists of what? Male reproductive system and female reproductive system. Male reproductive system is antheridia, then archegonia. Then the fusing is happened of male and female gamete. Then the dominant phase of sporophyte is coming out. So it is one cycle like sporophyte, then gametophyte, then sporophyte. But main phase is what? Sporophyte. But in the bryophyte, gametophyte. Don't forget that. The next one, spores. That we have, they are divided into two based on the spores. Homospores, heterospores. Homospores and heterospores. If spores are similar, that means it is homospores. If spores are dissimilar, that means one is mega, one is microspore. That means that is called as heterospore. Okay, it produces spores. Sometimes it is similar, sometimes it is dissimilar. Similar, it is homospores. It is dissimilar. One is big, one is small, which means it is heterospores. So small one is microspore, big one is megaspores. We will talk about the megaspore and microspore. So what we want to talk about? The megaspore and microspore. Megaspores and microspores. The megaspores is what? Female. Megaspores are female. Microspores are male. Okay. So you know the spore, the male is microspore, the female is megaspore. Then the female spore which is retained and development of zygote and embryo is formed. Takes place. Then seed habit which is coming. See here, the microspore, it is male. The megaspore is what? Female. So what happened? The male which is goes to female reproductive organ. Then the female reproductive gamete, the female gamete which is present in the reproductive part, so it is retained. Which one? The female gamete is retained in the female reproductive system, but male spores which is enter into the female, then the fertilization is happened. Here I said antheridia which produce anthrozoids, that anthrozoids which is fused with the egg. Here is the same, but what I am saying here, the male one is small one, microspore. The female one is megaspore. Okay, but here I did not say that. So which one is small? Male is small, female is biggest one. So that is megaspore. So it is going fused with the female gamete and fertilization is happened. Zygote will be formed. It is followed by embryo takes place. Embryo growth takes place. Okay, zygote, after that embryo. You know, so what happened? The embryo which is present in the strawberry, which means the seed habit is coming. So in the evolution, first one algae, second one is bryophyte, third one is pteridophytes. It is based on the living places, and the next one, how does it reproduce? Okay, here it is fully the sexual. But when you go for algae and pteridophytes and all, there we have asexual and sexual. But hereafter fully we have what? Sexual reproduction. So here only the seed production habit will be comes from. Because in one area, in one reproductive part, that is what? Female reproductive part, there the fertilization also happen, and after fertilization zygote which will be formed. Then from the zygote what is coming? Embryo is coming. So the seed production habit which is start from the pteridophytes. So it is about the pteridophytes, general characteristics of pteridophytes. So don't forget that here the main thing is it possesses vascular system, that means xylem and phloem, and it is first terrestrial plant. Okay, the sporangia which is produced from the sporophyte, that sporangia which produce spore. From the spore, what type of things are coming? That means prothallus. Don't forget that prothallus which is comes from the spores. So it is like a gametophyte. It is photosynthetic gametophyte. It can produce their own food. They which bears male and female gamete. Here which one is the small, which one is the big? Male is small, female is big. Female one is artigonia, male one is antheridia. So the fusing is happened. Male gamete and female gamete is fusing is happened. Then zygote will be formed. Then embryo will be formed. Then the new sporophyte which is comes out. Here I will explain these things. Then what are the example for? What are the examples for pteridophytes? Which means that we have 4 classes in this division. Algae, one division. Bryophytes, one division. Pteridophyte, one division. And gymnosperm, angiosperm. So 5 divisions we have in the plant kingdom. Pteridophytes, then we have 4 classes. 4 classes. One is Coelopsida. One is what? Coelopsia. And second one, Lycopsida. Lycopsida. Coelopsida, Lycopsida, and next one Phenopsida. Fourth one Pteropsida. So first one Coelopsida, second one Lycopsida, third one Phenopsida, fourth one Pteropsida. 4 classes we have. Coelopsida example, Coelopsida example, Coelota. So Coelopsida is one class. That example is Coelota. Coelota. The next one Selaginella. Lycopodium. Lycopodium is the example for Lycopsida. Then Phenopsida, example Equistum. Then Pteropsida, example Dryopteris, and Pteris and Adiantum. Okay. So 4 classes we have. Coelopsida example Coelotum. Lycopsida, it is Selaginella and Lycopodium. Phenopsida example is Equistum. Pteropsida, Dryopteris, Pteris and Adiantum. These are all the examples for pteridophytes. Okay, next one gymnosperms. We are going to see about gymnosperms. After gymnosperm, this lesson is will be completed, because after that gymnosperm, angiosperms, which is we have in the book, but it is omitted portion. In the revised syllabus, we don't have what that angiosperms. Okay, gymnosperms up to gymnosperms only we have. So after that completion of gymnosperm, we will complete this lesson. Okay, next we are going to see what? Gymnosperms. Next one, gymnosperms. Gymnosperms, which mean you can see the seeds. It is naked seeds, which possess naked seeds. That's why it is what? Gymnosperms. Sperms, that mean which denote seeds. Gymno, that mean which denote the naked. So naked seeds which are present in the gymnosperms. Then it is general characteristics. In the forest area it is present. Which one? The gymnosperm division of plants. Then fruitless. It don't have fruit. If fruit is present, it encloses the seeds. But here we don't have fruit, that's why the seeds are naked. நம்ம seeds வந்து ஸ்ட்ரெயிட்டாவே பார்க்க முடியும், அது வந்து என்க்ளோஸ் ஆகியிருக்காது ஃப்ரூட்டாக, ஏன்னா அது ஃப்ரூட் கிடையாது. The next one, it is perennial and evergreen and woody. That means it can live very long time and it is evergreen and it is woody in nature. Okay, when you go to forest area, Kodaikanal, Ooty or Erkadu, whatever it may be, there you could see the pine tree, so many pine trees. So that is evergreen, it is living very long, so that's why it is perennial and evergreen and woody. Leaves are needle shape. The needle shape leaves are present in the gymnosperms. Then otherwise it is called as softwood, which when the gymnosperm trees is known as what? Softwood trees. Example, pine, deodar, cypress, redwood. Redwood is the tallest tree. இது வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா ரொம்ப ஹைட், ஒரு 100 ஃபீட்டுக்கு மேல இது வந்து வளரும். இது redwood. So it can grow above 100 feet. So what it is? It is all the things call it as generally softwood. Pine, deodar, cypress, redwood. These are all the examples for gymnosperms. But generally it is called as, we can say, softwood. Then about the structure, it is general characteristics of gymnosperm. Structure of gymnosperms. It is maybe branched or unbranched. The stem. If you take neem tree, main stem is there. Then we have many branches. Many branches we have. Okay, that is branched. For example, I am saying neem tree. But here we are talking about what? Pine. Pine which possess different branches. So different branches which are arranged from the main stem. But here unbranched stem also present in the cypress. From the soil which arise. So unbranched. Each one of the projection is stem. இதுல வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா branches இருக்குமா அப்படினு பார்த்தா கிடையாது. We don't have. That's why it is unbranched. But here in the main stem we have branches. That is branched. So two types of stem structure we have. One is branched one and another one unbranched. Branched example is pine. Unbranched is example cypress. Leaves, it is simple or compound. Simple or compound. Simple leaf. That means example people tree நீங்க எடுத்துக்கலாம். இப்போ stem இங்க இருக்கு அப்படினா single leaves இருக்கு. Here we have axillary bud. Axillary bud. Okay, so from the stem one leaf is present, the axillary bud which is present here. But in the compound, whereas you take the stem is there, here we have axillary bud, but here we have many leaves in that. Many leaves we have. That is compound leaf. Okay, here we don't have axillary bud. When it is connected with the stem, then we have axillary bud. So it is compound leaf. This is simple leaf. Only one leaf is present. So this is the difference between the simple leaf and compound leaf. And it is well adapted to the extreme conditions. Yes, in the forest area, you know, I think that we have rainy season and in the autumn or what, in the monsoon season, or in the winter season, whatever it may be, it can adapted to the extreme conditions. ஏன்னா அந்த ரெயின்லாம் அதிகமாக இருக்கும், நல்லா தெரியும், மழை பொழிவு அங்கே அதிகமாக இருக்கும். In those areas it can live easily. Which one gymnosperms? That's why it is living for long. ரொம்ப லாங் டைம் இது லிவ் பண்ணுறதுக்கு காரணம் என்ன அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, it can adapted to the extreme conditions. ஏன் அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, another one வந்து needle shaped leaves. Needle shaped leaves which do not allow the water to stay. It is comes down, and whatever it may be, and what snow also cannot stay in the leaf, so it is comes down, so it can live lifelong. What long? From நாள் இது வாழும். The next one comes to root. It consists three type of root: taproot, coralloid root, mycorrhiza. Three types of root is present. Taproot, I think single root is present. It is main root and secondary is coming. Okay, carrot, radish, example for the taproot. ஒரு main root வரும், அதுல ஒரு small root branches. Coralloid root, it is very short, branched one, and it is irregular. It is like இப்படி ஸ்டெம் இருக்கு அப்படின்னா இப்படி இருக்கும், இதுல இருந்து பிரான்ச்சஸ் வரும். இது வந்து என்ன அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா irregular. It is irregular root. Which one? Coralloid root. It is symbiotic in nature. Already you know what is symbiosis. It is associated with one organism. Both of them have mutual relationship. Okay. So here the root consists cyanobacteria, the blue-green algae. Okay, the cyanobacteria which lives in the coralloid root. It fixes the nitrogen. What nitrogen? Atmospheric nitrogen fixed into the soil. So it is taking the nitrogen and it can live. The tree which is giving what? Place to living for the cyanobacteria. Example, cypress. The cypress plant which consists cyanobacteria in their root. So that root is coralloid root. And another one root we have mycorrhiza. That mycorrhiza root also symbiotic in nature, but it consists algae. Example, pinus. Example is what? Pinus. So mycorrhiza, the root which is present in the pinus, and next one in the coralloid root which is present in the cypress. Don't forget. Then next we can enter into the reproduction. Reproduction, it is heteroporous. In previous in the pteridophytes we said about what monosporous and heterosporous. Monosporous, which means similar spores, there is no differentiation. But here we have differentiation. One is small, one is big. So that differentiation spores is known as what? Heteroporous. Heteroporous. So example, we are talking about cypress. It is heterosporous. One is megaspore, one is microspore. One is small, one is big. In the pteridophytes also I said that. So microspore and megaspore. Here the microspore is what? Male gametophyte. It is female gametophyte which germinate and give rise to male gametophyte and female gametophyte. In the megaspore la irundhu enna varudhu appadina female gametophyte namakku kedaikudhu. Microspore la irundhu male gametophyte we can get it. So now we have getting what? Male gametophyte and female gametophyte. Then what it is happen in the reproduction I will explain. Actually, the spores are arranged spirally. Spores are arranged spirally. So it is giving one compact structure. That compact structure is strawberry or cone. Okay. So spores, we have two types of spores, but the spores are arranged spirally. So it gives one compact structure. அப்படியே ஒரு சின்ன branch மாதிரி இருக்கு அப்படின்னா அதுல பாத்தீங்கன்னா அதுல வந்து நிறைய ஸ்போர்ஸ் இருக்கும், ஸ்பைரல் மாதிரி அதுல வந்து அரேஞ்ச் ஆயிருக்கும். So it gives compact structure. That compact structure is called a strawberry or cone அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. The next one, male strawberry, female strawberry. Male strawberry and female strawberry we have. Here male one is consist microspore. Female one is macrospore. So what the spores are arranged very closely and spirally. That structure, compact structure, is known as strawberry, the big cone. Here we have more male cone and female cone. Male cone which consists microspore, female cone which consists macrospore. Then next the male and female. Male and female. Male microsporangiate. Here female microsporangiate. Male microsporangiate, female microsporangiate. Sir, what is that? The male microsporangiate, which consists microsporophyll. This is consist microsporophyll and macrosporophyll. Actually, the macrosporophyll அப்படினு பாத்தீங்கன்னா leaves plus the spore தான் நம்ம என்ன சொல்றோம் அப்படினா microsporangiate. இங்க வந்து female வந்து macro, it is largest one now, so it is macrosporangiate, it is microsporangiate. The spores along with the leaf, it is known as microsporangiate. The leaf along with the spores is known as macrosporangiate. So macrosporophyll and microsporophyll. That microsporophyll which produce microspore. That macrosporophyll which produce macrospore. From the macrospore, what it is coming? Male gametophyte. Here from the macrospore, female gametophyte. From the female gametophyte, female gametes are produced. Here from the male gametophyte, male gamete are produced. Male gametes. So what happened? Spores and microsporangiate is known as microsporophyll. Actually, microsporangiate அப்படினா strongly. Macrosporangiate, that means it is female strongly. Okay ba? This is a macrophil, sporophyll and microsporophyll abina. In the cone plus leaves is known as macrosporophyll. In the microsporophyll and macrosporophyll, what it is produced here macrospore, here microspore. Then microspore which produce male gametophyte, here female gametophyte. Then female gamete which are produced, here male gamete are produced. Male gamete and female gamete fuse together. That means male gamete go and fuse with the female. Okay. It is only moving. Which one? Male only moving to the female. The next one, fertilization is happened. The fusing of male gamete and female gamete is what? Fertilization. Fertilization is happened. Fertilization. Then zygote will be formed. Then embryo. Then sporophyte. Okay, here it is dominant phase is sporophyte. Dominant phase is what? Sporophyte. Okay. Here the male gamete is sporozoite. That means not sporozoite, yes, male gamete which are fused with the female gamete. The male gamete is here pollen grain. Pollen grain. Spermatozoite which are present in the pollen grain. Then it is fused with the egg which are present in the female gametophyte. That is what fertilization. Then zygote will be formed, then embryo, then sporophyte. Then after that, what it is produced? Sporophyte. It is dominant phase. Okay. Then the embryo which is present in the seed. Actually embryo present in the seed. From the seed which will be germinate sporophyte. From the sporophyte the new plant which are arised. Then what happened? Microsporangiate, macrosporangiate, again it is coming. Then which produce male and female gamete. Then process will be moving like a cycle. So what it has happened? It do the reproduction by the sexually and it produce seeds, but it is naked seeds. Seed consists what? Embryo. From the embryo only the sporophyte is germinate. Okay. Then next one. It function. Which one? The gymnosperm function is which prevent the soil erosion. Then which use it to prepare the soap. Then nail polish and perfumes. Okay, which are used to produce. Which one? The gymnosperms is used to produce what? Soap, nail polish and perfumes, and mainly it is prevent the soil erosion in the forest. Okay, it can live very long time. That's why the forest area fully is green in color because of most of the gymnosperms. Okay, that's all. The lesson is completed now. That means plant kingdom we have completed. I think in online, in the live video class we are moving with the animal kingdom. Now we have completed what? Plant kingdom. Next we will start with another chapter. In the live class we can move with animal kingdom. Whenever it will be completed, we can start another one chapter. Here in the recorded video, we will start another one chapter. Okay. So I hope you all understood that bryophytes and pteridophytes and the gymnosperms. That's all lesson is over. Thank you very much.